Lord hath made. We shall rejoice and be glad. A pleasant good morning to each and every one of you. Thank you for joining me again for In Touch Gulf Coast. I am Beverly McDowell, and today my guest is a wonderful speaker and a motivational speaker at that. His name is Cicone Prince. I introduce to you Mr. Cicone Prince. How are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing fine, and you?
I am well, thank you. And with the joy that comes forth from your flesh makes my heart leap with joy. What's our message for today?
Well, my favorite scripture says, "To whom much is given, much is required." And believe me, that's a mantra that I live by. When I consider all that has been invested in me and given to me, I know that I have an obligation and I have a responsibility to serve my fellow man. You know, somebody once said that service is the rent that we pay for living here on earth.
Indeed.
And I take that to heart. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing.
So that is your true purpose?
Yes, it is. It is to serve and encourage those around me.
How did you get involved? I mean, what spawned this idea?
Well, becoming a motivational speaker was really something that I found out while I was doing something else. And this really actually ties into my book, Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain? Because it really became my personal story. I had a 3D animation company several years ago, and I was in the process of selling that, going about to, be a spokesperson for that particular company. And I was at a conference, a national conference in Dallas, Texas, back in 2012. And while I was at the conference, I received a phone call. And the person on the other end of the line told me, your company has been selected to be a part of our Quick Pitch Business Olympics. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in the so-and-so ballroom. And I was like, okay, thanks. And I hung the phone up and I grabbed my brochure, started turning. I was like, what is the Quick Pitch Business Olympics? Well, I found it in the program, and it said that I had 3 minutes to pitch my business to a select group of judges and the listening audience. So I immediately started the process of rehearsing my elevator speech, telling about my business and all the things that we offered. The next morning, I arrived at the event early. I talked with the AVI guy, and I actually had him to take my animation, which showed what I did, my 3D animation, which I had on my cell phone. I took it and had him copy it over to his computer so he could put it up and he could actually show it on the projection system they had. Well, once my company was called, I got up and I started the process of telling about my company. And about halfway through my presentation, about a minute and a half in, I asked him to start playing the animation, and he did. And it came up on the screen, and everybody was oohing and ahhing because they saw all of the cool stuff that I was able to do. But while I was standing there on stage and while I was selling that company, I realized something. I realized that my words could do more than just sell a product or service. I realized that my words could actually help uplift people and change people's lives. And so I tell people all the time, you may be climbing the wrong mountain, but even being halfway up the wrong mountain, you can see the right one.
Indeed. I went speechless there for a minute, but that's true. You can always feel as though you can't, but in other words, you truly can if you just put forth the effort,
right,
garner the education,
yes, and
move forward.
Yes.
You've written a book, right?
Yes, I have, and the book is entitled "Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain?" And it also covers finding your true purpose. And this book is really inspired by a quote by Dr. Miles Monroe. And the quote said that the greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment. I'm going to say that again for those who may be taking notes. The greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment.
Explain that.
Well, that quote, it helps us to understand that there are so many people that are doing what they were trained to do,
and not
as opposed to what they were ordained to do. You finna take the words out of my mouth.
Trained and ordained, those are the words.
There's a difference, between what we've been trained to do and what we were ordained to do. And even at the root of that quote, it talks about succeeding at the wrong assignment. My question has always been, who's handed the assignments out? And that definitely has to be God. And so when I first heard that quote, the first thing that came to my mind was a picture of somebody standing on top of a mountain saying, I did it. But at the bottom of the picture, there was a caption that said, but you're on the wrong mountain. And so many of us find ourselves climbing the wrong mountain. But even climbing the wrong mountain, there are some benefits. Because the first benefit of even being on the wrong mountain is that you can X this off your list. You can say, this is not it. This is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. There has to be more. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not satisfied. The second thing about being on the wrong mountain, even if you're halfway up the wrong mountain, like I said earlier, you can see the right one. And that's what happened in my case. While I was trying to sell my company, sell my 3D animation company, I realized I can do more than just sell a product or service. I can help uplift people and change their lives. But see, the good thing about even identifying the right mountain from the wrong one is that once you've identified that mountain, it's not going to be that hard to get up it because you have mountain climbing skills.
Yes, point well made.
You've actually gained skills even climbing the wrong mountain. So that time is not wasted. A lot of people think that, look, I've just wasted my time. I wasted these years. No, you've learned some stuff that you can take with you. Once you find out what you were ordained to do, even that stuff that you were trained to do, that skill set, they can come with you even to the right mountain.
Point in fact, I was a server in several restaurants.
Okay.
Yet I have a Bachelor of Arts degree from Spring Hill College.
Okay.
And it's in mass communications, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hitting all of the wrong doors because I needed money to get to the next level.
Right.
I needed to pay the light, gas, and
Right.
water bill. I needed to have food. I needed the car note money, the insurance money.
Right.
And I felt, even though I accomplished, I achieved at that craft,
Okay.
there were those who kept saying, she's moving too fast, or her order is too different from our order. And I realized then I was climbing the wrong mountain.
Right.
I was reaching the goal of bill paying.
Right.
But I said, now, Beverly, we have to readjust here.
Exactly.
And that's why I was so excited to get you on In Touch Gulf Coast, so that you can motivate others to see beyond the immediate.
Exactly. And that is what's needed. People need to understand that it is possible. The first person that broke the 4-minute mile, people said it would never happen. No human can run that fast to run a mile in 4 minutes. But after he did it, like popcorn in a microwave, other people started doing pop because they saw it was possible. And that's what we need to understand, that it is possible. People always say it's difficult or impossible until it's done. And then once it's done, it's like, okay, now what are you going to say?
All things are possible through him who strengthens us.
Yes, exactly.
But you have to believe. You have to conceive, believe, then receive.
Yes.
You first have to think it, and then you have to incorporate it within the heart of your soul.
Right.
And then you ask him if that's your right course.
Exactly.
And if so, it shall be given. So we ask the question again, are you?
Are you climbing the wrong mountain?
Yeah, gotta be. Okay, so what do you offer during your motivational speaking?
Well, what I offer during my motivational speaking, and our slogan for my company, CiconePrints.com, is we introduce you to yourself. And a lot of people, they hear that and they wonder, how is it that you're able to actually tell me you're going to introduce me to myself? Well, oftentimes life and circumstances and situations, they box us in. And we tend to start defining ourselves by our surroundings and by our environment, as opposed to understanding who we are and who we were made to be. See, Les Brown said that you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And there are so many of us, we have talents, gifts, and abilities, but we've yet to identify them and actually figure out, okay, why is it that I have these abilities? Why is it that I have these skills? And how can I make the most of them? Some of us don't even realize that when you walk into a room of seniors and they just light up because you're there, you don't even see it. But somebody else standing on the outside notice, whenever you show up, you cater to them. You bring something out of them that no one else does. There are other people who can actually deal with kids and troubled children, and I mean in such a way to where they just open up to them. Those are abilities that they've been given for a purpose of serving humanity. But sometimes we don't see that.
A beacon in darkness. And Dion Gaston is one of those people who can deal with troubled youth.
Right.
And when he finishes with them, they become gentlemen.
Okay.
And they press forward. So as you were talking about these people with these special skills.
Right.
And the reason why I asked you to come on In Touch Gulf Coast, because, you know, the eyes are the window pane to the mind.
Right.
And I could look in your eyes and tell that you had a strong message to deliver to those who are actually suffering from anxieties or depression because they don't feel as though they are qualified to do what they were put here to do.
Right. But all of us, we have a purpose. As long as your heart is still beating, as long as you're breathing, there's a reason for you to be here. All of us have a purpose to serve and to be here, and it's finding that out. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. There is no greater sense of fulfillment and satisfaction than us knowing what we were created to do. I oftentimes use this example of a crystal punch bowl, a $1,500 ornate crystal punch bowl. Somebody uses it to drain the oil out of their car. It wasn't made for that. It can hold the oil, but it wasn't made for that. And a lot of us, we are doing stuff that we can do, but we weren't made for. And my goal as a motivational speaker, my goal as a coach is to help people to understand that you have more to offer this world. You have more to give. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote this book, Or You Climb the Wrong Mountain, because chapter 1 talks about being dissatisfied. And so many of us are dissatisfied with where we are, with how our life is playing out. And we know I have more to offer, I have more to give. But you have to be willing to get off the wrong mountain and get on the right one.
Well, we talk about right mountains and wrong mountains, and you tapped into the wellspring of the large number of baby boomers, our senior citizens.
Right.
Many of them are on all kinds of medication.
Right.
Most of them are sinking into the world of depression because they don't feel wanted or needed anymore.
Right.
Talk to that age group, please.
Well, I would definitely say to those in that age group, don't wait for somebody to come knocking on your door to ask you to help. You go to them because you have so much to offer. There's so much wisdom that you have to share with another generation. Don't wait for somebody to come and pull you out of your rocker. You get up and you make it a point, okay, I have all this time on my hands. Let me go to some of these schools. Let me see if I can volunteer. Let me see if I can just come in and share and talk and pass on information that can help change a young person's life. Don't wait until somebody comes looking for you. You go looking for them. And I mean, even if it's not just with the young people, even if there are young adults that need some guidance and need some wisdom, even if there are people that are older in life, maybe not seniors, but they still need some sort of encouragement, some sort of advice, make yourself available. A lot of times we sit around and wait for somebody to come looking for us, but we need to be the one. This young lady told me one time, she said, the ball is always in your court. It's always in your court. If you have the strength and the ability, just go, share. Because I tell you that there's somebody somewhere waiting on you. They won't listen to me. They won't give me the time of day. They'll say, that young whippersnapper don't know anything he can tell me. But there's somebody that will listen to you. And that's what I tell everybody. I don't care what age or what stage of life you're in. There's somebody that will hear your voice. But are you going to share it? Are you willing to open your mouth? Are you willing to step out there? Are you willing to be vulnerable enough to help somebody?
Some of my senior friends will say to me, how you put them costumes on and walk around in those parades and things? You too old for that. I said, honey, you just don't know the energy I get from the young folk when I do that.
Okay.
You don't realize the energy that comes from the young folk when you can sit in one of their classrooms or in one of the auditoriums and talk to them and share your life experience with them, and then years later see that child graduate from college and they come back and say, Miss Beverly McDowell, you remember when you... And yes, I do remember because there's a certain something about each spirit that you can tap into and touch that right chord to lift them up with a few simple words.
Exactly.
Such as I love you.
Exactly.
Parents, quit telling your kids, You make me sick and I can't stand you, and I'll be glad when you get grown. Because each moment you wish for the next moment,
right.
You're wishing your life away.
Right. Exactly.
You've got a summit coming up soon?
Yes, we do. We have a summit which actually goes along with the book. It's entitled, Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain? And it's going to be held October the 29th, 2016 at the Mobile Marriott from 8 to 1 p.m. And it's going to have a host of speakers. Dr. Reuben West from Bloomington, Illinois. He's one of Les Brown's platinum speakers. And I tell people all the time, you don't want to leave the planet until you hear this man speak. We also have Karen KJ Johnson. She's a business and strategy expert out of Dallas, Texas. She's going to be in the house telling you about personal strategy and business strategy. A lot of people have a business plan, but they don't have a strategy. And she helps you to define what that means. We're also going to have Dr. Ed Womack. He's out of Atlanta, Georgia, and he's an urban leadership strategist. And he's going to talk to us about the importance of getting our young people involved in our processes, because instead of us letting the next generation try to figure it out themselves, we need to bring them alongside so they can learn as we learn, so they can be just that far ahead of us when they get our age. And then we have none other than our very own Minister Vern O'Kane, and he's going to talk about the importance of mindset and having the right mindset in order to move forward, in order to climb the right mountain. I'm going to be sharing about personal development and why it's so important for us to develop as a person. I tell people all the time, they lied to us. They said, what do you mean? I said, they told us that there was no I in team. But there is an I in team, because it's in the word individuals. Because every team is made up of individuals. And if you don't know who you are and what you bring to the table, you become the weakest link. But when you know your strengths, when you know your abilities, when you know what you have to share, you can find the right place, the right team, and you can be effective. And you can't stop a team like that.
And each individual coming together forms the TEAM team.
Exactly.
Point well made.
Exactly.
I'm happy to hear that, because
Exactly.
Whenever I would coach young girls on sitting properly and speaking properly and
Right.
acting like little ladies instead of little floozies on the floor.
Right.
Yeah, because, some of the parents think that their children are actually their friends.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
And
yeah,
so they
that's a
train
problem.
their daughters to act as they are acting. I have a friend, dear friend. She has 4 little girls. And they mimic her to perfection, but there's nothing I can say right now. I just know that it will come a time when she'll say, Miss Beverly McDowell, that you did say was so helpful to me, because this has occurred as a result of that.
Right.
Motivational speakers have a gift.
Right.
And that gift is to open your mind, to give you ideas about which path you should really take.
Exactly.
And that's what you're doing for this audience this morning, in case you didn't know.
Well, I'm glad. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Give me a little bit about your background. When you were 14 years old, what were your thoughts?
Well, when I was 14 years old, I had a speech impediment. And I know a lot of people
Well,
now,
you don't sound like it now.
Well, a lot of people would be shocked to hear that. But I shared in another book that I co-wrote entitled Live Your Best Life, The Advantage of Disadvantage. My disadvantage became my advantage. Because I had a speech impediment, I stuttered. And I realized that there were 3 things I had to do. First thing I had to do was I had to acknowledge the problem. Dr. Phil said you can't fix what you won't acknowledge. So I had to acknowledge that there was a problem. I had a stuttering problem. After I acknowledged the problem, what I did was I addressed it. Even in middle school, I found myself going to speech therapy class. And I used to hate the way that they would call me, because I would have to go to my social studies class first. They would call the roll, and then the speech therapist would come and get me. And of course, kids being kids, they would, of course, be so mean. They would be like, bye, Cicone. I mean, just give me a hard time. Just give me a hard time. Well, even after I addressed the problem, I didn't want to stop right there, because there was so much more I had to offer, so much more I had to share. So what I wound up doing, not only did I acknowledge the problem, not only did I address the problem, I attacked the problem. I forced myself to speak. I started volunteering to read stuff in class. I put myself in positions where I had to open my mouth and talk and communicate. And that didn't stop. I found myself, because I had so much on my mind, so much I wanted to get out and into the world. I couldn't just allow the stigma of stuttering to put me in a corner. And I tell people all the time, a lot of people are stuttering at life. Mm-hmm. They are stuttering at life. But you know, the best help, the best advice I got was from my uncle. He told me, he said, Cicone, all you have to do is slow down. I said, what do you mean? He said, your mind is on sentence 3.
That's right.
And your mouth is on sentence 1. And you're trying to get all of this stuff. You're trying to get all this stuff out. And you're trying so fast, so hard. He said, just slow down and pace yourself. And I noticed that in doing that, I became more deliberate with my delivery. Mm-hmm. I started to pick my words. I started to organize them and package them before I put them out. Before, I was just dumping everything out on the table, then trying to fix it. No. I had to be more astute in my speech so that I could actually communicate. And that made me a better communicator. It gave me the ability to actually move people and be more deliberate. It's one thing to just throw something together for dinner. It is another thing to have a menu in place, to have a plan, and you lay everything out. That gets a better reception than let's just dump everything in a pot and turn it on.
Big pot of potpourri, just put it together and call it soup.
Exactly. So that was my childhood. Since I've been grown and got married, me and my wife, we have 5 kids. So I talk a lot.
I'm sure you do.
A lot.
How many boys and girls?
2 boys, 3 girls. And the boys are the bookends. The oldest is 29. The youngest is 9.
Well, my Lord, I want to ask you, how old are you? You look about 25 yourself, but we're not going to dwell on that. Let's push forward.
And our 3 daughters, we have a 21-year-old daughter, a 17-year-old daughter, and a 15-year-old daughter. So I find myself having to run the gambit of, dealing with 29-year-old issues and 9-year-old issues and 21-year-old issues and, female and male issues. So I spend a lot of time talking. I spend a lot of time sharing. I spend a lot of time giving illustrations, helping them to understand the stuff I'm trying to share with them. So I remember having all of those, particular mindsets, that I had to go through in order to continue to teach and, to raise our children. And I use this example oftentimes to help them understand that I'm not raising kids. I'm raising adults. And they look at me strange, like, what do you mean? In fact, we're not adults, we're kids. I say, okay, do you wait till you get to school to put your school clothes on? They say, no. I said, do you wait till you get in the pool to put your swimsuit on? They say, no. I said, do you wait till you get to church to put your church clothes on? They say, no, sir. I said, you always get ready somewhere else, right? You always get dressed somewhere else. I said, well, you don't wait till you become an adult to learn how to be one. I said, now is the time, and this is the place where you learn the skills and abilities that you're going to need when you become an adult. I try to help them understand, look, we're going somewhere. I'm not just trying to be a mean ogre, just to make you do, your chores or, eat right or rest or, be healthy. I want to make sure that you are an asset to society and not a liability. Yeah. I want you to be able to actually take care of yourself and actually give back and be a blessing to those around you. So yes, we have to take on the hard role as parents to actually raise our children. It's one thing to give a child advice. It's another thing to raise them, because when you raise them, you care about them and you want them to succeed. You want them to win. You want them to make it in life, because they making it indirectly means you make it.
That's right.
And so just really helping them to understand that they may not see it right now, but later on, they will thank us for all of the times we held them accountable, for all of the times, in fact, that we made sure that they did what they were supposed to do. And that's one of the things that I also bring even to my motivational speaking, as well as my coaching, the ability to help people to see beyond right now and to expand their radar and to look to the future and prepare for where they're going.
Cicone Prince, introducing you to yourself.
Yes.
A motivational speaker.
Yes.
Please, sir, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, from your email address to any other information you'd like to share.
Well, for those who've actually seen my videos online, my tagline is, this is Cicone Prince of CiconePrince.com, where we introduce you to yourself. Our website is www.CiconePrince.com. That's CiconePrince.com. But you can search for me on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Just go in there and look for Cicone Prince. And I tell you, my name and my information will come up.
And one thing about Mr. Prince is this, folk. He doesn't mind what age you are.
Nope.
If you're 12, 20, 15, 65, 68, 70, it doesn't matter, because you are a human, and Cicone Prince has a message to deliver.
Yes.
And a strong message that will give you your true purpose in life.
Yes.
A message that will give you and make you realize that you've got more to offer than you think that you do.
Exactly.
A message that says, have you ever wondered about you? And to wonder about yourself is to know that you are somebody, because our Father don't make no junk.
Exactly.
You've got a very strong air personality that will be hosting your upcoming summit, right?
Yes, I do.
Talk about the summit just a little bit more, please.
Well, and actually our host is going to be none other than Kim Thurman. And I can't tell you how excited I am that she has agreed to be a part of this summit, because it has made all the difference in the world. Not only are we going to have 5 dynamic and powerful speakers, but I know that Kim is going to bring a air of class and sophistication to this summit, which is just going to take it over the top. And I mean literally over the top. We are so excited about the people that have already registered, and there are a few seats left, and I really don't want people to miss it. In fact, the summit is definitely going to be worth the investment. And that's what it is. It's an investment, because you can't go broke investing in yourself.
That's true. So the summit is Saturday, October 29th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Mobile Marriott, 3101 Airport Boulevard, Mobile. For information, you may call 251-753-6229. That's the summit. Are you climbing the wrong mountain summit? And our dear friend, Mr. Cicone Prince, will introduce you to yourself. You've been listening to In Touch Gulf Coast. Thank you once again for joining us this morning. Any final words, Mr. Prince?
I want to thank you for this platform. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank all of your listeners for tuning in. I do just want to make one correction. The phone number is 251-753-6299.
Say again.
251-753-6299.
Again, we thank you so kindly for listening to In Touch Gulf Coast. I am Beverly McDowell, and remember, each one reach one, each one teach one. Look down on no one unless you're reaching down to lift them up. One final word: if you don't vote, don't complain. This is a very, very important election coming up. I need for you to press the button, and press the right button. I'll see you next Sunday on In Touch.